We're looking at number 4 on the 7-5 green worksheet, and we basically have to solve each equation. And what do you notice about every single one of these equations? They all have a what in them? An x squared, right? Now, do these have x squareds in them? They do, because when you distribute these, what do you get right there? Minus equals 1. Do we see an x squared here? When you do what? What's that process called? F-O-I-L is FOIL. You get x squared plus 4x minus 21. The right side is just 5 minus 2x. So now we can see that every one of these equations has an x squared, right? So you're trying to solve it and figure out what the missing x is. I'll tell you that now that we've FOILed and distributed C and F, we have two distinct types of problems. We have the problems in the middle, which we will solve one way, and the problems on the ends, on the right and left, which we will solve a different way. So let's look at the ones in the middle first. What do you notice about them compared to the other 4 problems? You got an x squared plus 7. You got a 4x squared plus 9. What do the others have that those highlighted ones don't? Good. People say that we have a b term, or you could call it a plain old x term. They have terms that don't have x squared. That's why those are going to be solved in a different manner. All right? Those are a little bit tougher. All right? The ones in the middle are simply solved like this. Take away 7. And then square root both sides. All right? When you take the square root of both sides, you get plus or minus root negative 7. And as of about a week ago, you would say that that has no solution, right? You'd say that that has no solution because you can't do what to a negative number? Square root it, but we can now. It just means that what letter will be involved? It's going to be I root 7. So those are the two solutions to that problem, and they would be considered imaginary solutions. Now, imaginary solutions can also be seen as complex solutions. So those are somewhat synonymous, at least in that direction. If it's imaginary, it's complex. Okay? Let's look at the next one. E is done similarly. Take away 9. However, there's a middle step right here that I'm about to do. You're going to divide both sides by 4 before you square root. So it's going to be negative 9/4. Okay? Now we're going to square root both sides, and you get plus or minus whatever the square root of negative 9/4 is. Again, up until about a week ago, you'd say that that doesn't have any answer, right? Well, that's not right anymore. You know, you would say no solution. The real response there would be there's no real solution. There's an imaginary, there's a complex. So we can square root a negative. What do you get? You're going to get an I. But there's even more to this one, because can I square root 9? Can I square root 4? So it's plus or minus 3/2 I. Okay?